Ashes to Ashes, Trauma Decoded, A Journey of Healing and Transformation by Brian McClanahan. To my mother and my sister, and anyone going through trauma even when nobody else realizes it, you're not alone. May this serve as my final promise to you. I will not just survive, I will live and help others live. Along the way. Copyright 2025 by Archaea Corp. All rights reserved. This book or any portion thereof may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without the express written permission of the except for the use of. Brief quotations in a book review or scholarly journal. Book designed by Archaea Academy. Table of Contents. Introduction. Chapter 1. The Incandescent Beginning. Decoding the Trauma. The Science of Trauma. Chapter 2. The Silent Predator. Decoding the Trauma. The Science of Trauma. Chapter 3. A Father's Betrayal. Decoding the Trauma. The Science of Trauma. Chapter 4. The Wildness and the Void. Decoding the Trauma. The Science of Trauma. Chapter 5. The War Within. Decoding the Trauma. The Science of Trauma. About the author. Resources. Acknowledgements. Introduction. Author's note. This book is one in a series about what happens when life throws a grenade into your world, and you have to learn how to live in the aftermath. It's my journey through a series of traumas that began before I was even old enough to understand them. These aren't just stories. They are the moments that programmed me, the subtle cues, the unsaid words, the unspoken truths that became the very foundation of my subconscious beliefs. For years, I lived with the consequences of that programming. Guilt that wasn't mine, fear that controlled my every decision, and a sense of unworthiness that shadowed my life. But this book is not a story of despair. It's a roadmap out of the darkness. By sharing my journey, I want to show you that trauma is not a life sentence. It is a puzzle that can be decoded, and its programming can be unwritten. Every event in this book is followed by a deeper look into the psychological and scientific frameworks that explain why trauma impacts the mind the way it does. You will see how the work I do at the Archaea Academy isn't just theory. It's a method I used to save my own life, and in doing so, found a way to share with others. This is a journey from the ashes of my past to the purpose of my present. This is my promise to you. There is hope and there is a way forward. Experience 1. Ashes to Ashes. I was roughly 2 years old. Yes, I remember being 2. Once you hear this, you will understand how a single, traumatic event can leave an emotional scar so deep it transcends time. It was impossibly early in the morning, and everyone else in the house was sleeping. A deep silence hung in the air. I jumped up from where I was sleeping and peeked around the corner, looking for my mom. Back then, she had hung a curtain in the doorway to the dining area, which she used as her bedroom. I remember it was blue, thick, and soft, with a woven texture. I remember because that's what I was holding open the last time I truly saw my mommy. Right before that moment, I had made a huge mistake. On my way to find her, I had to walk through the living room. Being little, I was intrigued by everything. I noticed a lighter on the coffee table, next to the couch, sitting right next to a Casey's soft drink cup with a red straw. In my mind, a simple thought formed. I wonder what this does. I stood the lighter on the table. With one small hand, I held the little red button down, and with the other, I flicked the spark wheel. A flame appeared. Then I grabbed the red straw from the cup, held it to the flame, and watched in absolute awe as it caught fire. The plastic began to melt and drip. One of those molten drops landed on my hand. It hurt so badly that I shook my hand instinctively. I was about to cry when I noticed what had happened. When I shook my hand, the burning straw flew from my fingers and landed on the couch. It had an old Afghan blanket on it, and the fabric instantly went up in flames. I was terrified. I had no idea what to do, so I ran for my mom's dining room bedroom, pushing aside that soft blue curtain. "What, Brian?" she said, her voice soft with sleep. I just pointed. I think she saw the glow of the fire because all I remember next is her voice, sharp and urgent. "Run, Brian! Run outside!" So I did. I ran so fast I don't even remember opening the front door. I remember running down what seemed like impossibly long steps to the ground below. I stood there next to the curb, clutching a little yellow toy motorcycle that I must have grabbed from the yard on my way out. I stood there waiting and waiting. The fire truck pulled up, its lights painting the world in flashes of red and white, but I kept waiting. I watched the whole house just burn. Finally, I saw my mom run from the left side of the home. I remember her screaming, "He's still inside! My baby, she's in there!" Then I watched the man she was with at the time run back into the burning house. He ran in and out 3 times. The last time he emerged, my mother let out a scream of pure horror that sliced through the air. The man fell to his knees, the skin from his arms hanging off him. I learned so many things that day. I learned how losing a child can emotionally kill a living mother and steal her from her other children for a long, long time. I learned what a real hero, a real man, is from that man's example. And I learned what it was like to be the cause of all of it. This is the moment my entire life was thrown into a spinning toilet of shit for so many reasons no other person could fathom. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. I don't care what they say at the fire department. I'm still, and always will be, the one that lit that straw and destroyed so many lives from one little choice, born of ignorance. My world has never been nice to me, and sometimes I think I deserve everything that ever happens, just for that one thing alone. The lingering echoes. That moment didn't end when the flames were extinguished. It became a foundational program, a lens through which my mind would perceive the world for the rest of my life. The following are the effects I observed in myself as I grew, long before I understood how to begin repairing the programming. This was the moment I watched a mother emotionally die right in front of me. It may not have been a physical death, but the impact of that loss was unexplainable. She was never truly the same. It's strange because, even at that age, I remember her enthusiasm and light. This was also when I watched a hero attempt to save a young life at his own demise, without a thought for his own pain. This image burned into me an ideal of what it meant to be a man, a standard of self-sacrifice that I would unconsciously hold myself to forever. Emotionally, pieces of this event are seared into my memory like photographs. They replay as little movie clips, often when I don't want them to. Every time Fire Safety Week happened at school, I couldn't sit in the class without losing my composure. The weight of realizing I took a life, which in turn stole a mother from me and my siblings, was immense. Our family was never the same. To this day, certain triggers can bring it all back. The wail of a siren, the sight of a straw in a cup, a lighter, or a pack of cigarettes. Even just seeing my mother can sometimes superimpose the image of her screaming in pain over her face, even when she's smiling. My dreams are riddled with this experience, even after years of healing. The most pervasive effect is a form of hypervigilance. I have an extreme obsessive fear that my children could die from anything. If I'm putting a t-shirt on them as babies, my mind will instantly begin a catastrophic journey, mapping all the ways it could go wrong. They could choke, they could get tangled, they could slip on that toy, hit their head on that corner, and bleed out before the ambulance arrives. My mind does this on repeat, a constant simulation of loss. If I care for someone deeply, I will continuously map the ways they could be ripped away from me, even by something I might do. This programming has been difficult, but it has not been without its uses. After learning to work with my mind, this pattern of predictive analysis became a tool. And because of these deep-seated fears of causing pain, it has also made me one of the most loyal people I know. I am deeply, profoundly afraid of being the reason anyone else hurts the way my family and I have. I am now happily with my partner and have a family of my own. That terrified little boy is not gone, but he no longer runs the show. The science behind the scars, a framework for understanding. The experience described is not simply a tragic memory. It is a clinical example of how the young human mind processes and stores overwhelming events. The patterns that emerged are consistent with decades of scientific research into childhood trauma and its long-term neurological and psychological effects. This section provides a scientific framework to help the reader understand the mechanisms at play. Traumatic memory, encoding, the burning photo effect. Unlike normal autobiographical memories, which are organized and stored as a coherent narrative by the hippocampus, traumatic memories are different. During a moment of extreme threat, the brain is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This activates the amygdala, the brain's fear center, which takes precedence. The amygdala encodes the raw sensory and emotional data of the event, the sight of the flames, the sound of a scream, the feeling of terror, while the hippocampus's ability to create a linear story is impaired. The result is that the trauma is not stored as a story, but as vivid, disconnected sensory fragments. These are the burning photos or movie clips that can be triggered involuntarily by related sensory cues, a siren, a straw. Because they are not properly integrated into the narrative of one's life, they don't fade with time. When triggered, the brain and body react as if the event is happening right now. Misplaced guilt, a child's defense mechanism. A child's mind is egocentric. They are the center of their own universe. When a catastrophe occurs, especially one involving caregivers, the child's developing brain lacks the capacity for abstract reasoning to understand complex causality. To make sense of a chaotic and terrifying world, the mind seeks a cause it can control. The most accessible cause is oneself. By unconsciously deciding it was my fault, the child creates an illusion of control. The hidden logic is, if I cause this bad thing, perhaps by being better or different, I can prevent it from happening again. While this is a brilliant survival strategy for a child, this deeply programmed belief of being inherently bad or to blame can persist into adulthood, leading to chronic shame, low self-worth, and self-sabotaging behaviors. Complex trauma, CPTSD, from a single event. While post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is often associated with a single event, complex PTSD, CPTSD, typically stems from prolonged trauma. However, a single event can have the ripple effects of CPTSD when it fundamentally shatters a child's core needs for safety and attachment. The fire was the catalyst, but the subsequent emotional loss of a grieving parent, the breakdown of the family unit, and the assignment of blame created a prolonged state of emotional insecurity. This results in symptoms that go beyond flashbacks, including difficulty with emotional regulation, wild swings between anxiety, sadness, and numbness, disturbances in relationships, intense fear of abandonment coupled with a difficulty trusting others, negative self-concept, deep feelings of worthlessness, shame, and guilt, hypervigilance, a constant state of being on alert for danger, leading to the catastrophic thinking described. Pathways to reclamation, techniques for healing. Understanding the mechanisms of trauma is the first step. Reclaiming the self requires conscious and compassionate action. The following techniques are designed to help an individual de-hypnotize themselves from the old programming and establish a new foundation of safety and control. 1. Conscious observation, mindfulness. The first step is to create space between you and the program. When a traumatic memory, a jolt of anxiety, or a catastrophic thought arises, the goal is to observe it without judgment. Instead of being swept away by the feeling, one can practice mentally labeling it. This is a memory. This is the feeling of fear. This is a catastrophic thought pattern. This simple act of naming it separates the conscious self from the automatic reaction, reducing its power and giving the individual a choice in how to respond. 2. Interrupting catastrophic loops. The mind's habit of mapping out worst-case scenarios is a misguided attempt to keep you safe. When this loop begins, a conscious interruption is needed. This can be a physical action, like standing up and stretching, or a verbal one, like saying stop out loud. The key is to then immediately and deliberately redirect focus to something tangible and present. The feeling of your feet on the floor, the taste of a glass of water, or naming 5 blue objects in the room. This breaks the hypnotic trance of the fear loop and re-anchors the mind in the safety of the present moment. 3. Reframing trauma. Anchors. Objects and sounds that trigger the trauma, like lighters or sirens, are called anchors. Their power can be diluted through a process of conscious reassociation. This involves mindfully and safely exposing oneself to the trigger in a controlled environment while simultaneously engaging in a calming activity such as deep, slow breathing or listening to calming music. Over time, the brain learns to associate the trigger with a new state of calm, gradually neutralizing its power to provoke a fear response. 4. Somatic integration, releasing trauma from the body. Trauma is stored not just in the mind, but in the body's nervous system. Practices that help regulate the nervous system are essential. Diaphragmatic breathing. Slow, deep belly breaths activate the vagus nerve, which switches the body from the fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system, to the rest and digest, parasympathetic state. This sends a powerful signal of safety to the brain. Body scan meditation. By bringing gentle, non-judgmental awareness to different parts of the body from the toes to the head, an individual can release stored tension and reconnect with their physical self in a safe and grounded way. The journey from a moment of profound trauma to a life of peace and purpose is not about erasing the memory. It is about integrating it. It is about teaching the mind and body that the danger is over. It is a testament to the human spirit's profound capacity for healing, proving that even after the deepest scars, conscious awareness can allow for a new and beautiful life to be built upon the ashes of the old. Acknowledgements. To my mother who, despite her own unimaginable pain, was always a fighter. To my partner who showed me what true love and acceptance feel like and helped me build a new life of happiness and purpose. To my children who are the ultimate proof of my healing. And to every client I have ever had the honor of working with who trusted me enough to let me help them find their own way out of the darkness. About the author. Brian McClanahan is the founder of the Archaea Academy, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping individuals unprogram the subconscious patterns and beliefs that hinder their growth. As a trauma survivor, he developed the Archaea dehypnosis framework based on a unique blend of personal experience, modern neuroscience, and ancient wisdom. His work focuses on guiding clients to a state of conscious awareness, empowering them to reclaim control over their lives and transform their past into a source of strength and purpose. He lives with his family, proving that a life of happiness and fulfillment is not only possible, but is the ultimate reward of a life dedicated to healing. Resources section. The journey to conscious awareness and healing is a deeply personal one, but you do not have to walk it alone. The following resources have been invaluable to my own journey and the work of the Archaea Academy. Archaea Academy. Visit our website at archaea.org to learn more about our dehypnosis framework, explore our courses, and find a community of conscious seekers. National Suicide Prevention. Lifeline. If you are in crisis, please call or text 988. This service is available 24/7 and is free and confidential. National Domestic Violence Hotline. For confidential support, call 1-800-797-233. The National Center for PTSD website address is an excellent resource for veterans and civilians who have experienced trauma. Crisis text line. Text HOME to 74171 from anywhere in the U.S. to connect with a crisis counselor. Copyright 2025 by Archaea Corp. All rights reserved. This book or any portion thereof may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without the express written permission of the publisher, except for the use of brief quotations in a book review or scholarly journal. Book design by Archaea Academy.